been at the UW, specifically SMPH, for about 17 years now.
Presentation.
I live on a small farm outside of Madison where I raise bees, and currently I'm raising Russian bees, but yes, they came from within the United States. I also grow hemp. I've been a part of the UW-Madison Midwest Hemp Database research for going on 4 years now.
Video feed.
As you can imagine, on a small farm with a family, we've had lots of animals over the years. We've had horses, dogs, cats, fish, chickens, snakes, a gecko, hissing cockroaches, and even a tarantula. Recently, as some of you probably have as well, I graduated from the More Leaders program. I specifically went through Lead from Where You Are in 2023, and I graduated from ITLP this last spring. Also, this last spring, I received my Certified Business Relationship Manager status from the BRM Institute.
Slide, Valkyrie archetype.
So before I get to the Valkyrie archetype, I want to get us all on the same page. Modern leadership studies increasingly have recognized that mythological narratives aren't just stories, but they are encoded wisdoms that show the human potential and personal transformation, as well as the organizational dynamics that we are faced with today. There are some key connecting principles to acknowledge. First, leadership transcends time and culture. Second, human psychological patterns tend to remain consistent. Next, wisdom is often cyclical and universal. And finally, myths encode complex leadership insights.
Image of a Valkyrie.
So, in the ancient times, the Valkyrie archetype originated from Norse mythology, but it can also be found in Greek mythology, the Kyres. The main difference between the two was that the Valkyries were seen as benevolent and the Kyres were seen as malevolence. In Norse mythology, Valkyries were often depicted as a beautiful warrior who rides into battle on a horse or dragon. The Valkyries served Odin, choosing which warriors would die and which would live during battles. They guided the souls of the fallen to Valhalla, which is Odin's hall, where the bravest of warriors prepared for Ragnarok. They were often depicted as strong, ethereal, and loyal figures embodying themes of fate, death, and honor. They were also seen as independent individuals who were not afraid to take risks and fight for what they believe in.
Image.
The modern interpretation of the Valkyrie archetype often portrays them as symbols of empowerment, justice, and guardianship. They are seen as independent, strong figures who embody courage, leadership, and the ability to navigate conflict. In contemporary media, they have been reimagined as protectors or warriors with a focus on agency and resilience, blending traditional mythology with modern values of equality and individuality.
Slide, value.
Now, let's take a deeper dive into Valkyrie archetype by going through the 4 V's. So in my example, I'm going to use a shield to represent each of the 4 V's here. In ancient times, the shield represented where you were from, who you served, and what you believed. It also physically protected you. In modern times, the shield can be just as symbolic, representing your beliefs, values, and journey. You can also use it to symbolically protect yourself or your team.
A partially blurred shield.
The first portion of my shield is value. Typically, when we think of value, the first thing that comes to mind is the physical value or worth of something. In other words, tangible value or worth. I'm going to focus on the intangible side of value, not something you can easily see or touch. So in ancient times, Valkyries were the protectors and guides for the souls of the fallen warriors, as stated earlier. This meant they focused on the idea of value as well as recognizing and uplifting others. They also believed that every life has worth, and they actively participated in ensuring that the valor of these warriors is and was remembered. Now, in modern times, in leadership, we value our team members by understanding their strengths and contributions, as well as promoting a sense of belonging and purpose. So you're probably asking yourself, how does this actually look today?
A pyramid.
Well, before I give you some examples, we need to first understand what value means to a person. And to do that, we have to understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the image that you see in front of you. Simply put, the needs of a person will change as we fulfill the needs at each level. However, you have to start at the bottom and you can't skip a level. So the levels build on each other. You also have to understand where each person on your team is at with regards to the levels of the triangle, because how you show them value will be dependent on where they are in the triangle. Finally, the triangle does not include just work things, but it includes personal things as well. So here are three examples I have found useful. There are many more out there. The first one is recognition and meaningful appreciation. How do you do this? You can publicly acknowledge technical achievements in people, highlight when individuals make contributions, provide specific, meaningful performance feedback. As we say in more, feedback is a gift. Offer both monetary and non-monetary recognition, and create technical hero type recognition programs. Another example would be work-life balance and well-being. When can, offer flexible and remote work arrangements. Implement no meeting deep work blocks. This is something I believe Google does, where they have chunks of time where there is no meetings that take place whatsoever to allow people to just do their job. Provide mental health resources. Recognize the high stress nature of IT roles. We've heard change fatigue thrown around a bit. Implement burnout prevention strategies. Also respect personal time boundaries. The third example would be inclusive and a supportive environment. So we're back to foster psychological safety, promote diversity in your technical teams, ensure equal project opportunities, make sure everyone gets a chance to be on different projects. Work to create an environment valuing all technical perspectives, provide transparent communication about the company's direction, also support underrepresented groups in technology. These examples demonstrate that leader isn't just about managing technical resources, but about valuing the human beings behind the technology. The value framework items here are to be authentic, consistent demonstration of respect, support, and a genuine investment in each team member's professional and personal growth.
A partially blurred shield.
The next part of my shield is vision. This is probably one of the easier of the four V's to understand, as we hear about it all the time. What is your mission statement? What is your vision for the future? It can also come in terms of strategic initiative or overall strategy. So in ancient times, the Valkyries could sort of see the future, and they would use that vision of the battle's outcome, in that they knew who was likely going to die, to allow them to plan for and guide the warriors to their rightful place in Valhalla. In modern times, effective leaders are good at sharing a vision that not only motivates their team, but aligns them as well, thus helping to push them toward a shared aspiration. Vision is a process that takes the ability to see potential futures, yes, potential futures as in plural, and yet inspire the warriors or team members towards a common goal.
A graph.
How can we practice vision today? Well, first keep in mind vision does not need to be 100% accurate, but it should also not be extremely vague. Here are some examples of just a few things that you could see under vision. First example, innovation and experimentation framework. So what can you do here? You can establish structured innovation time. You could create innovation labs and experimentation zones in your department. You could implement technical innovation challenges, run monthly innovation sprints and quarterly hackathons, have a dedicated innovation budget, or develop proof of concept opportunities. I have a good personal example to share with this one. This was well before COVID. This was in the time when 3D printers were just kind of something that you could buy as a consumer. And I bought one for my daughter and myself to use and experiment with. And I had a physician approach me in orthopedics. He was trying to print out some pieces of a spine because he wanted to replicate how do you drill into, how can we create something that residents can practice drilling into that mimics what a bone in the spine might feel like. And at the time he had worked some with radiology, but the 3D printers they had there, didn't have a lot of flexibility at the time, versus the additive printer that uses a spool of filament to print had some more flexibility. And so, in working with him, we printed out some different proof of concepts of different substrates, different materials, different thicknesses. And we finally got to a point where he felt that it matched what it was like drilling into a spine. So we then took that and we actually bought a printer to have in the department, and it got used more and more. And one of the things I did with my staff so that they could be comfortable showing people, because it's not like you can walk up to a 3D printer and just print something. It takes a little bit of work. It's not like a laser printer. I highly encourage the IT staff to take time and experiment with a 3D printer. Find some things that they wanted to print out just for fun to see how it worked and get an understanding of the do's and don'ts with it. So creating an environment where people could experiment and work on new things, and supporting that as part of the workday. Second example, skill development and learning pathways. Always big on this. Map current skills to future technology needs. Create comprehensive learning pathways. You want to invest in emerging technology certifications. Will you use them all? Maybe not, but it's something to give your staff a step up on the competition. Support trainings in things like Kubernetes, cloud native computing, AI and ML and DevSecOps, which are big things these days. Provide forward-looking training opportunities. The third example, collaborative visioning and communication. So include your team in strategic technology decisions, make them a part of the process. Host some technology strategy sessions, maybe quarterly or semi-annually, again, bringing the team into the process. Create visual technology evolution dashboards. So kind of show people where you're going. It's like the image here on the slide. Develop compelling narratives about future capabilities. Use multiple communication channels. Not everyone does email, not everyone does text, not everyone does Teams. Use as many as you can, and also creating cross-functional vision teams would be appropriate as well, to give people the opportunity to work across different areas. The goal here is to create a holistic approach to technology leadership that balances strategic planning, innovation, skill development, collaborative communication, and continuous learning. The key vision framework items are: be transparent, create compelling narratives, involve the team, connect individual work to the broader vision, and maintain flexibility. Next, we move on to the third portion of my shield, validation. When we typically think of validation, we see it as meaning, I'm agreeing with you. Actually, validation does not mean I agree with you, it means I hear you. So in ancient times, Valkyries were known for choosing who lives and who dies in battle. This was a selection process that symbolized validation, as they recognized and honored the bravery and valor of warriors. In modern times, in leadership, validation involves acknowledging and affirming contributions of team members, fostering a culture of appreciation and respect. So, what are some ways that we can show validation?
A diagram.
Validation is a very important part of the shield, as it is an inherent feedback loop shown in the image here. Positive validation leads to more positive results. Negative validation or lack of validation can lead to more negative results. What are some examples? Innovation and learning support. We're back to the tech talks, innovation showcase. Having staff present something that they worked on or a topic that they took some time to explore to the group. Creating time for innovation. Establish an innovation fund or a hackathon, like competitions within your group to figure something out. Implement suggestion programs with tangible rewards. Support, again, cross-functional project opportunities, so working across groups. Another example, personal and professional validation. Create personalized development plans. Understand individual career aspirations. Provide constructive and specific feedback. So we're getting back to feedback is a gift. You might starting to see a pattern in a lot of these. Connect team members with industry mentors. We were talking about mentors earlier today in some of the sessions. So you as the leader helping to connect and make that connection. Also offer leadership opportunities on critical projects. You as the leader, don't always have to lead everything. You can let your staff delegate to step in and learn, and you as a mentor can help them out. The third, resources and emotional support. Invest in cutting edge tools and technology. This kind of rewards your staff, gives them something to look forward to. Provide ergonomic workstations, a big thing these days. Support flexible work arrangements. Talked about that in another area. Demonstrate empathy during high stress projects. You as a leader may not be able to actually do something, but just by simply asking, how can I help? You would be surprised how far that goes into creating and showing that you validate them and that you understand what they're doing and that you understand what they're going through. We were talking about listening early on, where difficult conversations. So actively listen and provide meaningful professional support. These examples emphasize a holistic approach to recognizing, supporting, and validating IT staff's professional journey. The key validation framework items are to be specific, be timely, be genuine, connect the validation to the broader organizational goals, and again, tailor recognition to individual profession preferences. Now, the fourth piece of my shield, vulnerability.
Partially blurred shield.
This is probably the hardest and most complicated of the four V's. Well, as a society or culture, we've actually made it complicated. It really isn't. Typically, it is seen as a sign of weakness. I am vulnerable. When I would challenge you to think of it as a sign of strength, sharing your weakness actually presents as a strength. It's an interesting concept. So in ancient times, Valkyries were always seen as fierce and powerful. However, it was their connection to the human experience that showed they could embody vulnerability. They got to see the struggles and sacrifices warriors made, which required the Valkyries to have empathy and emotional awareness. In modern times in leadership, when we embrace vulnerability, we can foster trust and open communication. This allows us as leaders to connect more deeply with our teams. What does vulnerability look like?
An image.
It is the bridge that leaders can construct with their team to show them that they have empathy and emotional awareness. Keep in mind, the team is always vulnerable to you. It's a simple power dynamic. You're the boss. By flipping the script and sharing how you, as a leader, experience vulnerability completes the bridge. What are some ways you could do that? First, through emotional and personal growth openness. Share your own learning journey and challenges in technology. Discuss experiences with imposter syndrome. Be transparent about the stress of leadership and mental health. Explain how you are continuously improving technical skills and soft skills. We never stop learning. Show vulnerability by discussing personal, professional challenges. Another way, decision making and strategic vulnerability. Explain the reasoning behind technical decisions, including your doubts. Admit when you've made suboptimal architectural or strategic choices. So admit when you were wrong. Invite the team input on complex technological strategies. Again, bring the team in. Be open about the challenges of balancing technical and business requirements, because from a leader's perspective, we have more to balance than from maybe a team member who reports to you. Demonstrate that leadership involves collaborative and uncertain decision making. Our job is not to be right, but to get it right. And that takes time. A third example, performance and feedback receptivity. So again, feedback is a gift. Actively seek genuine feedback on your leadership approach. You could do this directly. You could work through your boss to get 360 feedback from your team. Ask team members how you can improve as a technical leader. Share performance reviews where you receive constructive criticism. Acknowledge when your management style might be creating obstacles. So this would be a mindfulness exercise. Show that personal and professional growth is a continuous process. These approaches help build trust, create a more open work culture, demonstrate that leadership is a journey of continuous personal and professional development. By showing vulnerability, IT leaders can create a more supportive, innovative, and collaborative team environment. The key vulnerability framework components are being authentic, genuine sharing, psychological safety, demonstrating that it is not about being perfect and that continuous learning and growth are normal.
Slide.
So in conclusion, this is my shield with the 4 V's filled out: value, vision, validation, vulnerability. Today we went from myth to modern. Just like the Valkyries choosing which warriors were worthy of going to Valhalla, we as leaders are choosing technologies and developing talent. From concept to practice, we learned that these ancient principles and wisdom and explored ways of translating that into our daily stand-ups or interaction with our teams. And finally, from individual to team, just like the Valkyries, each person's shield, in this case your leadership shield, symbolically represents your unique journey. But the same shield or journey also reflects or foreshadows your team's future. Finally, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes.
Slide.
This is from Doctor Who. We're all stories in the end. Just make it a good one. Thank you. And here's my contact information. If you do download the slide deck presentation, I do have a resources and contact page at the end that shows where a lot of my information came from.
Text, contact info. Ken Fanta. kfanta@wisc.edu.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate the talk. Does anybody in the room here have any questions? I guess I can start. This is Nils, by the way. Do you have Norse background, I assume?
I do not actually. I am. I like to refer to it as Czechoslovakian, but Bohemian. My
Okay.
father, my great grandparents came over from Bohemia. Actually, great question though. Not really a question, but I know someone was probably asking, is like, how did I come up with the analogy of Valkyrie with the 4 V's? I'd had the 4 V's as I was going through more last year, and I really wanted to do a talk and a presentation as I kind of came up with this, and I really didn't know how to connect it to something that maybe might intrigue people. And I happened to be watching, I think it was Valhalla on Netflix. It was a Viking series, right? And then I was like, oh, Valkyrie. And I'm like, huh, is there any connection? So I started doing some research and there was a connection. So I'm like, it's a V. I got 4 V's. It worked.
Good hook.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Dave, do we have questions from online?
Nope, just a lot of great talk and thanks and such like that.
Perfect. Once
Awesome.
again, any questions in person? Okay. Well, Ken,
All right.
thanks a lot for your talk. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for listening. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.